Crypto is officially part of the infrastructure bill. It includes new tax rules on the currency. Crypto enthusiasts push back against the regulations, including Senator Ted Cruz, who tweeted his frustrations, saying in part, "The Senate's going to inflict billions of dollars of damage on the growing and exciting crypto industry and drive much of it overseas. There aren't 5 senators who understand much of anything about crypto."
Last night, the Senate rejected a bipartisan compromise amendment dealing with cryptocurrency tax reporting, striking a huge blow to senators who wanted looser restrictions on tax reporting requirements for crypto. Now, I have no problem believing that the Senate screwed up the way that they wrote this amendment. And senators are saying that they can still fix this in the rulemaking, and they can also they can also convey to rulemakers what the congressional intent is by giving speeches and trying to narrow the definitions. Cruz is probably right that 5 people in the Senate don't have any idea what to do with crypto. But I also question how serious they actually were about fixing this when Richard Shelby insisted on putting $50 billion in defense money, defense construction money, into the crypto amendment. And so Bernie Sanders blocked it, said, "I don't want $50 billion more." And you know what? If you want your amendment to fail because you won't put it forward cleanly without this extra $50 billion for the Pentagon, then get out of here.
Well, to be fair, I think like many things in Congress, especially when you're dealing with these, 2,000-word packages that most members of Congress never actually read through, a lot of the sausage making and decision making happens behind closed doors. And in this case, my understanding is there was virtually no input from industry, being the cryptocurrency industry, and people who actually understand it. And I agree with Ted Cruz. There are probably fewer than 5 senators who actually get crypto. I'm
not even sure he's among them.
So Senator Cynthia Lummis is one of them. She's actually the first United States senator to own cryptocurrency. And she was a big advocate, she and Senator Wyden, on including the original language. And the thought is, this is an emerging, innovative industry, and we shouldn't be regulating innovation and, hurting something that could be thriving and making ourselves less competitive internationally. But again, politics happen behind closed doors, and the decision makers made their decision. Disappointing to see, though.
Right. The question of it moving overseas, I think, is an important one because this is a global currency. And that's kind of the essence of it. And so, policymakers do have to consider that fact as they're thinking through how to regulate and how to bring transparency into the market. I think that crypto advocates have to, get rid of the fantasy that there will never be any regulation of. You're not going to create a rival currency to the United States dollar, and have the United States empire be like, okay, that's fine.
Well, that's absolutely a fair point. I think that part of the frustration here from crypto advocates, but also just the senators behind it was more or less decided this was going to be used as a pay-for this massive spending package. So we're essentially quote unquote taxing innovation and this new rising currency to pay for an extraordinarily expensive infrastructure package that is by no means is even close to fully funded.
Right. Oh, for sure. It was funny though to see Ted Cruz say that this was going to destroy billions of dollars in crypto. Crypto enthusiasts seem to have no problem destroying billions of dollars of crypto value on their own. Whether it's Elon Musk going on Saturday Night Live and in 5 minutes just vaporizing.
I'm well aware of your opinion on the stability of cryptocurrency, though a very fascinating and rising market that I think we're seeing a lot of investment in. There are upsides, there are downsides, but I think this was a blow to innovation and unfortunate how it was done, especially behind closed doors.
Yeah, and I don't think there's nothing here. I do think, and later this week we'll have on some crypto advocates to make the case, to talk about why this is so important, and particularly important around the globe. I do think it's interesting how the parallels between the rise of crypto now in this Gilded Age, in this populist moment, and the enthusiasm for gold and silver in the late 19th century during the last surge of populism in the last Gilded Age. When you go back and you read that history, you keep coming across gold and silver as and using the gold and silver standard as these kind of central political questions that were dividing people around the country. And reading it 20 years ago, before this populist moment, Like, what are these? What's wrong with these people? Like, all these farmers, the number one thing they care about is the silver standard. You know, you have William Jennings Bryan running on the silver standard. Like, was there anything else to talk about? And then you understand that it becomes a proxy for a lack of trust in any other institutions. And so as our currency, as our economy, as our political institutions, people lose faith in them, they find something new to put their faith in. The irony is that moving away from the gold standard actually brought a ton of economic stability to the American economy in the 20th century, despite the kind of intuitive feel that people have that, well, it's gold, it's solid. It must be, more stable.
Well, it's a very interesting parallel, and I think the entire discussion around fiat currency is even more interesting in this moment where we're dealing with inflation, potentially hyperinflation, and you could argue that the dollar is tied to very little actual tangible value.
Right.
But one thing I would just mention on the crypto discussion is part of the thought, like one of the proposals out there is to tax gains on crypto sales. And that is looked at by some as something that could, in fact, help stabilize some of these things that you're talking about, where you've got somebody blowing up, in one tweet, the value of a certain, entity under crypto. So that's one of the things being looked at. But generally speaking, I think this was a blow to innovation. Our Senate's usually about 20 years behind technology and culture. If you've ever watched their Google hearings or major tech organizations, they don't tend to know how a lot of the things they regulate actually work, but disappointing.
I wonder if taxing the short-term gains could also kind of, in some ways, fuel volatility in the sense that it would then require people to sell crypto, to convert it into cash, to pay the capital gains, unless you could actually pay your taxes in crypto. But the second that the government allows you to pay taxes in crypto, it's now allowing it to be another currency. And you can't, and they can't do that. Even per the Constitution, you can't do that.
No, it's a fascinating question, and to make no mistake, I'm not for capital gains tax on crypto, but it is interesting. You'd have to decide, is this going to be something that's done through cash, or is it done, are we going to have the U.S. government start accepting it, which I believe the FEC already does for campaign contributions, unless it has to be.
Interesting, yeah. And so I pissed a lot of crypto people off yesterday, but let me agree with them that the Senate doesn't know how to write crypto legislation, so we can find common ground there. We'll see where this heads next.
We'll be watching this, and we'll tell you what's on our radars next.